morning, everyone, and welcome back to the 23rd World Education Summit Higher Education Edition. And we are on the final day of the 3 day event, and now we have another panel discussion for the day. And the topic for the discussion is UGC New Reforms. How can the higher education institutions pioneer in involving education landscapes? As we all understand that UGC has recently done a lot of different new reforms, which includes universities and colleges offering online and PG programs being allowed to collaborate with edtech platforms, UGC announcement on CUET syllabus, and new rules for college admissions. And we now have an eminent panel of professors and, in fact, vice chancellors and educationists from across India to deliberate on this topic. So I would like to welcome all our panelists here. My name is Tarannu Manjul. I'm the assistant editor at Elets Technomedia and I'm the moderator for this panel. With me, I have Professor Dr. Tabrez Ahmed, Vice Chancellor GD Goenka University, Gurugram, Haryana. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Tarannu.
I
Thank you.
have with me Dr. Saili Gankar, Vice Chancellor DY Patil University, Pune, Maharashtra. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
With me, I have Mr. Jyotishman Datta, Managing Trustee and Chairman, Downtown Charity Trust, Guwahati, Assam. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Professor Sasmita Samanta, Vice Chancellor, Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, KIIT, deemed to be university from Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Welcome, ma'am. Professor Dr. Deependra Kumar Jha, Vice Chancellor, Adamas University, Kolkata, West Bengal. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Mr.
Thank you, sir.
Amit Mahinsaria, CEO of Grad Campus. Welcome, sir. And
Thanks everyone.
We would be joined by Dr. T. Sasi Prabha, Vice Chancellor, Satyabhama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, Tamil Nadu. So, welcome
Thank you.
all my panelists. I will, in fact, now start with the questions. And my first question would be for Dr. Tabrez Ahmed. Dr. Ahmed, as you all understand that UGC is trying to digitize institutions and is quite eager to bring them into the online ecosystem. Is this only the result of the pandemic, or it will now be a substantial move for the institutions and it is here to stay?
Thank you, Tarannu, for inviting us. And so let me thank the entire Elets group for organizing very good webinar, inviting a lot of great vice chancellors to share their thoughts on very important issue of that online education and the education. That definitely the pandemic has great role to play, because in the pandemic we realized the importance and power of the online media and online education. Because going back, because since 1995, my area was the cyber law, and also a lot of online stuff I was handling. If you realize earlier, there was a lot of resistance from the lot of vice chancellors, professors, academicians, that they have a lot of doubt about that the importance of online education or online content for education sector. But because of pandemic, we realized the importance. When everybody tested the online medium, online education, whether student, parents, and faculty, universities, we realized that it may have very strong role to play, but not 100%. Now we realize that some of the components definitely we can handle by the online mode, and some component can go by the offline mode. Now the issue is that how to bifurcate and find out that what will be the best way to deliver and get the real quality enhancement in the student by running the online. Definitely UGC has gone ahead, and they said we can run 40% content in online mode. But the issue is that how to find out the great content, because every university may not have the very good content delivering the online. First challenge in India is that we should have very great online content to deliver, because currently all the good online contents, they are not free of cost. They're mostly on payment basis. They're in the hands of tech companies, and it is not very easy for all the universities to handle and pay, because we can get a license for 1 year, 2 year, and we have to renew the license and pay every time. So the cost wise, it is not very cheaper, because the open content is not very good or may not be updated, and we cannot rely. For example, Wikipedia, we can get anything, but we cannot rely for research purposes, for quoting anywhere in scientific research and all. So for good quality content, it is costly affair, and we have to go on updating those content. We have to go and renew the licenses. But the fact is that definitely the now it is proved, pandemic has proved, everybody has realized that the future is lying in the blended model, that we have to do a blending, proper blending, because some of the education, some of the kind of content can be delivered online, and then especially the part where we are going to raise the employability skill or raise the attitude and personality or provide them some kind of experience learning, where we have to interact directly with the student and try to raise their quality. Peer learning is not possible in the online mode. So there are a lot of things are there. We have to definitely run in the offline mode. But there are a lot of areas definitely we can run in the online mode. For example, examination part, we can do a better job by running lot of online mode, because now we have proctoring softwares. We can do multiple choice questions in online mode, and we can save lot of energy, because a lot of good faculty, they waste a lot of time to go for the examination evaluation process. They have to do the proctoring in the physical classroom. So lot of resources are wasted because of the physical examination and all. So examination pattern, if you can change and we can utilize lot of online resources, lot of AI technology is there, proctoring is there, so we can save a lot of resources from the examination, and that particular resource can be utilized in the research and development. Even for the research purposes, we can have a lot of online good journals. Those journals can be utilized and accessed from anywhere, because now we have the remote access software where the student can access the online library from anywhere, and also they can pinpoint directly, they go to the resource, they can cite and further research. This way, I think the online education is good if you do proper blending and bifurcation, and we realize the online where it is going to provide a lot of value addition, and those areas where it is not fruitful, those can be running in the online mode. So that bifurcation blending is very important, that it will depend on the program basis, on the discipline basis, and also depending on every university's kind of the resources, the potential, it can be decided. These are my initial points. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Ahmed. In fact, I would put the same question across to Dr. Saili Gankar as well. Dr. Gankar, in fact, if you can also share your views about UGC trying to digitize institutions, do you think that this is a substantial move now, and for the institutions that it is here to stay?
Yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. I think we are now moving towards that how higher education the world deserves. Right. I'm not talking about only India or Indian student. I'm talking about the whole world. The reason is last 2 years, what Dr. Tabriz has said here is very important. We have learned that what kind of preparation we would like to prepare, and that requires to be taken into the account. And if you look at it, the kind of efforts the government of India is doing, especially through national education policy, and now the UGC is reforming the education, and I think that's very, very positive and of course progressive step. The reason is we need to understand that the role of technology is now there and which is required to be taken in a very positive spirit. We know it very well that the today's higher education, what we deserve is through especially a shared transformational vision and strategy for every institution. When I look at Upgrad or when I look at many platforms like Coursera, Simply Learn, Harvard Business Online, where we have done the agreement with them and we are working on it very aggressively. edX is also there because if you look at it, DY Patil group of institutions, almost more than 6 universities we have, and we have taken always a very progressive and very what I can say is that a positive step to show that resilience and flexibility to get adapted with the technology. The reason is we need to understand the concept, and I'm talking about the business model of all the universities. I'm not talking about only private universities. I'm talking about all universities has a redefined the terminology that is the campus, right? And therefore we have to look at it that there will never be a return to what we knew as a normal. And that is because of the technology. Yes, we had the issues in IT or internet, but those are required to be really look at it very seriously and sort it out. Without that, it will be very difficult. So when we talk about past 2 years and higher education, I think this gave us an opportunity to redefine the education. So when I look at the UGC's reform, which is happening in terms of online education, in terms of having collaboration with the online platforms, I think it's a wonderful opportunity for all of us, right? And that is required to be taken care. I think when we are talking about this, we were earlier more into that how we can give a collaborative or a create an atmosphere in class where they learn from their peers, they learn from their colleagues, they have a lot of interaction with the students, their faculty members, right? I think that will be there, no doubt about it. But now we can really look at 40% of component which can be brought by the institutions in the campus. The reason is now everyone, it's not only education, but if you look at it, industry is also talking about making lots of changes in their approaches. So HR departments or the HR CHROs are taking a very aggressive step to redefine the processes at their organizations. So we have to create, we have to train our students to work in that atmosphere. And that would be the future of our higher education. So while saying this, right, we are talking about that, yes, we are customer focused institutions. Universities are going to always have focus on their student, where we have to train them, we need to really fix them, and for that transformation is required in terms of, again and again I'm saying that digital transformation, DX work of institution is very, very important, and that is a aim which we all have to do it. Now when we talk about collaborative approach, I think I'm sure, because I'm very eager to understand what Upgrad is going to share the points over here, that how they can, because that's what has been said by earlier speaker, that the affordability is one of the concern, and second, what we are talking about, that the one is affordability, and of course we are talking about the interaction with the students, right? I am approaching and I have been approached by many these online organizations, and I'm open for it, because at DY Patil University we are coming up with the hybrid mode of education. So can these kind of institutions or online platforms the propose us the various models which can be affordable, which can give that edge over, and I think that will definitely help us. So we have to keep it in mind that cyber is everywhere, right? And that we have to really, in terms of institutional infrastructure, institutional workforce skills, very rightly said, coming back to this particular point, which was being said by Tabrij, is very important. Sir has said that the content development, I think content development is coming through the faculty member, right? So we are talking about developing the competency of the faculty in terms of writing, in terms of delivering the session. And I think digital faculty for the digital future is to be the mantra for our higher education. And I think there we can take help of the online platforms. And when I am looking at the model, I feel that I should bring maximum number of industry, though experts, those who can train my student, because long time we always talked about there is a huge gap between industry and academia, and now there is an opportunity with the help of these platforms. I think we can breach that gap very powerfully, and therefore can we create our own faculty as a digital faculty, and at the same time the online, the platforms, can we really bring them, can we really work on that, move from typical brick and mortar kind of teaching what we were doing it. I think we need to create a wonderful balance in the campus that will help us, a balance in terms of student centric, and of course that we can develop the competencies which we are talking about in terms of the workforce development. I think these things which we need to really think about it, and those will help us. And I'm sure we have to also keep it in mind that today the world is shrinking, right? And it's because of what, one, it's shrinking. At the same time, if you look at it, it's expanding more number of opportunities, and that is what I'm trying to bring a point to all of you. The reason is technology has enhanced our all the vision and of course value proposition. So can we really collaborate with such organization? Can Are they ready? So I have a question to Amit, and maybe offline we can take about this. That how can upgrade, or how can edX, or how can Coursera really come forward, or TCS in terms of that, right? So they are offering a very well-designed program. So can we really come together in terms of affordability, in terms of delivery, and of course giving the value proposition? And I'm sure that all this crisis through which we have gone, the everyone is learning, right? So the same questions could be there in the mind of our the upgrade co-founder. I think his views I am really the looking forward, like what he thinks about, because I'm sure the kind of people who are coming, because there are two type of people. One, those who are freshers, try to understand, and I'm sure upgrade and all platforms must have taken this note, that not every student is a working professional, right? So how are you looking at these two different models, that students in campus and students who are working professionals? So can we come out and can we have that sustainable business model which will help both that online platforms also, because of course the quality competency brings the value on the table. And I think that is required to be really mapped very well with our own programs, what we are offering at the campuses. And I think this ecosystem, which is again expected by Honorable the Prime Minister of this country, and at the same time the Ministry of Education and UGC. So it is nothing but that we would like to explore the benefit to all our students. So can we really handhold each other? Can we really bring those things in classrooms? Can we build the classrooms infrastructure? Those are very, very competent enough to do the transition process, right, for the transformation of the student, because the concern is the competency and skills of our students. So let's work on it very, very collaboratively, create a ecosystem. I have seen a wonderful advertisement which was been the I forgot which was the company, but COVID batch kind of tag is to be removed with these kind of technology support, where we can bring them, we can develop them to not only with the electives, not with the only the core program, but then these certifications can we really work on and do it effectively. I'm sure that the this particular discussion, my questions, I am, because I always look at these panels where we learn from each other experiences, each other's vision. So I look forward to have more interaction and understanding from my co-panelists. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Gankar. And in fact, I would like to welcome two of our panelists who joined in finally, Dr. T. Sasi Prabha, Vice Chancellor, Satyabhama Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, and Professor Sasmita Samanta, Vice Chancellor, Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology, deemed to be University, Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Welcome to both of you. My next question is now to Mr. Amit Mahinsaria. Mr. Mahinsaria, you work with a lot of leading universities across the country. How do you see the landscape evolving with respect to higher education? And how is UGC catalyzing this evolution?
Sure. Thanks, Tarannu. And before I take your questions, in fact, slightly nervous, slightly overwhelmed by the comments that Dr. Saili made, my co-panelist. In fact, it's a big. She used the words, "How can edtech companies come forward and stand up to these challenges?" There's a lot of onus. There's a lot of responsibility, and I can sense this when I'm meeting daily universities. I can sense them that they are apprehensive, and partly they are right, so because this is something, there's a lot of chaos, and traditionally edtech players have not stood up to this challenge. Before I start and delve deeper into, I'll give just a 1 minute background which sets the context where I come from. So first, I personally have never taught before. I am not an academician, and that's a big lacuna, which realization of which is very important. I've been into this education sector for more than 16 years. first as an investor, then as a startup founder. I remember in 2011, I started my edtech company, worked very hard and built beautiful solution for 2 years and failed miserably. The reason was I was away from what academicians needed. I was keeping education behind technology. But I think over the years we have learned for education, you technology is just assisting them, content is just assisting them. EdTech is first about the learners. And coming to that, what points Dr. Saili made, I think Dr. Saili, this is the time when the best brains, and I see a lot of my colleagues, friends from different industries, best brains from global fintech companies, consultancy companies are entering the education sector. And this is the time when you'll see change happening. At Upgrad campus, we are a 100% subsidiary of Upgrad, and we work with close to 300 plus universities. And we realize that university education, like you mentioned, is very different from a working professional education. Like Upgrad courses for working professional would be close to, let's say, 3 lakh rupees a annum. That's the kind of charges that they're doing. Ours would be a fraction of that, much lower, because affordability is key. But not going deep into Upgrad campus, I'll actually come down to the topic of the day, which Tarannum asked, how do I see this landscape changing? In fact, one of the clear trends while talking to universities, though I personally am not coming from teaching background, I understand the pain points of universities and education sector very well. Having closely interacted with thousands of universities and colleges in the past 16 years, in fact, a couple of trends that are very visible. One, colleges are getting more open towards adoption of technology. Still, they are apprehensive, but they want to explore. And one thing which is there is the future of learning. When I look at future of learning, one biggest trend that is available is the power is shifting from universities to students. Earlier, universities and colleges were all powerful. Whatever they were doing was working. I think this most of the leading universities are realizing, even if you are a IIT or you are a Harvard or you are XYZ, students are more powerful. They have more options, they have more choices, and they are even if they are joining you, they'll demand that flexibility. So that's one change that's happening. Students want personalization. They want the way they want to learn. They want to be taught the way they want to be learned. So that's one change. Second, the pace of change is shifting. Earlier, a degree which was valid for 30 years is now valid for 3 years. The technologies, the languages, the coding languages that were relevant for, let's say, 5 years is now being replaced in 5 months. So, one very clear trend that's visible is that universities can't remain in silo. They have to integrate industries into their curriculum. They just can't bring industry working professionals and have guest lectures, or they just can't tie up with some industry and have some interweaving of this thing. Industry should be integrated into their curriculum. I think that's one big change. Most of the leading universities that I'm meeting is thinking towards that line. And second biggest change is, how do you provide flexibility to the student? Gone are the days of 7 or 8 streams: civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electronics engineering, or in MBA, 5 specialization, operations, etc. Gone are the days. Anywhere that you are doing a mix and match. How are you mixing and matching industry ready courses with the core courses? That's second trend. I think these are the two things that are broadly we are seeing as the trend of education. Coming to the second part, Tarunnu, is how is UGC catalyzing? I think there's a lot of confusion that's there around this thing. First, when I talk about UGC reforms, there are no reforms as such. Everyone is in anticipation of reforms. We see a lot of media articles, so guidelines are being framed. But since at Upgrad we work very closely with universities, with policymakers, and we try to get engaged so that we give a right perspective, we see a positive direction towards those reforms. So again, two things on this side. One, I personally feel these reforms, NEP plus UGC new guidelines, that will be 2022 guidelines, which are about to come, would be like liberalization of education. where government is stepping back. It is passing on some amount of powers to relevant universities. Now, these won't be all the universities and colleges, autonomous colleges, which has proven themselves. So that is one. Second, I think this is a very positive from UGC side. The negative is there's a lot of chaos. They should have come back with very clear, open awareness and guidelines rather than choosing the media where everyone is thinking, is it media article or is it UGC guideline? So it has become a controversial topic, and I see a lot of people confused. When I meet the universities, they say, yeah, I don't know whether it's getting implemented, it's an official thing, or it's just speculation. And but one very clear last point of mine is, while I agree there's confusion, I see two types of groups of universities. One which is frustrated due to this confusion. Second, which is seeing an opportunity. They are saying, hey, there's a lot of confusion, but I see a trend. Let me be prepared. Let me be prepared for this trend. And there we are working closely with universities. Maybe I'll talk later if I get time about some of the things what we are doing to work closely with universities on this, preparing them for future of education. Thanks, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Mahin Saria. And yes, we would love to listen to what Upgrad campus is actually doing in the universities. Now, my question is to Mr. Jyotishman Datta. Mr. Datta, how is your university preparing for creating blended space? If you can just share some best practices that you have been adopting. Sir, we cannot hear you. We still can't hear you, Mr. Datta. So you're on mute. Yeah. I don't think I can still. We can still hear you. Is it a problem with everyone?
No, we can't hear Jyotishman, but we can hear you, Tarannum.
Okay. Mr. Datta, can you join again? Can you rejoin? Yeah. Can you just rejoin? We'll just wait for a few minutes for him to rejoin. I believe there was some audio issue. And I think, yeah, he's back again. Yeah.
Can you hear me this time? Not yet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now we can hear you, sir. Now
Thank
we can
you.
hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So,
Thank you so much. Good to be heard finally.
yeah.
Actually, a
So
journey
as I asked you, sir, how
in
is, yeah, how,
yeah,
I
I heard
believe
your
you heard the
question. I can
question.
hear you.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yes, I believe our journey with digitizing our university education system started a couple of years back because we believe it brought about a lot of transparency. In each and every class, you kind of knew what was being taught on a daily basis, what notes supporting documents were being given. It would be very good even for the students to go back later on and check actually what was taught. Sometimes when you take physical notes, you don't really know down everything. You lose a few things. So we have everything in the ERP system. This is way way before COVID. So that is how we started with our own elements, and then as one thing I agree with Mr. Tavraj Ahmed ji is very important that we spend a lot of time in assessing. Like I was in Delhi University, can you imagine? We spend about 100 120 days a year only in examination. Out of a year, if you're spending 3 to 4 months in examination, it's important to assess a student, but you can make it a lot shorter. And digitizing it is one of the best ways of doing it. Meaning, if you can have question banks given already, a part of your assessment, if it can be done through your digital medium, it makes even checking the answer script or assessment much faster. The whole process of plus, secondly, there's one thing that you have to you need domain knowledge. That is very essential. Is we need a lot of student to be directly systems, so they know that when they join the organization, so their model is used to a lot of these systems. So that is one of the assessment system that we digitize, and we've seen great benefit. We have now more time for teaching, and when we started giving all notes and studies material online, it matters, because what happens today, there's so much information online. Students after class, they tend to google, they tend to go to YouTube to find supporting videos, supporting notes, but there's unlimited. So someone needs to help them or handhold them and give them the right links, the right articles. So these faculties are like the mentors. They are the ones who are helping them game out of the thousands of articles and links which are available online. Faculties help them give 5 or 10 which will be the most suitable. Obviously there's unlimited information, so that do help the student, that they have a lot to study even after classes. There's a lot to study even after classes. There's a lot to study even beyond the syllabus, which is important, because no matter what kind of syllabus you make, it is always almost impossible to have the whole subject involved. Learning is unlimited, but the syllabus is limited. So that is one huge advantage that we have.
We again lost your voice, in fact.
System that there are a lot of links and a lot of directions which can give students, and the students' learning perspective is definitely increased.
Yeah, in fact, we got that. I think that there is some issue with the audio for Mr. Datta. In fact, going to the next question now, I'm coming back to Mr. Amit Mahansaria. And Mr. Mahansaria, as you were talking about upgrad campus, we would be really, in fact, I believe all our panelists would be quite keen to know what upgrad campus is doing for the universities across the country. If you can share your practices.
Sure. Thanks, Tarun. Maybe in the interest of time, since I think we are already past 35 minutes, I'll keep it very short. And anyway, I interact with most of my fellow panelists and we are present in the market. I talk to them. But broadly, I'll tell you one couple of things. One, we are not a franchisee partners. We as a firm believers that universities are not going to replace. If at upgrad campus we have to succeed, we have to partner and work very closely with universities. If universities are succeeding, then only edtech companies like us are succeeding and students are succeeding. So first, we are working very closely with universities on a couple of areas, broad three areas. One, tech. I think tech is one area where universities realize that they want to adopt, but it is something where tech companies have bombarded them with so much of solution that it has become overwhelming. In fact, at Upgrad campus, we put ed before tech, as I mentioned earlier. So there's a tech platform where we have partnered with more than 250 universities on a very simple basis on how to enable them to go online. Because if the ultimate goal is to launch a blended course with a mix of online and offline world, then teachers need to be prepared. And I think one of my fellow panelists mentioned this word, which is digital faculty, the competency development. That's very important. So we work with universities to ensure that they are tech enabled, their faculty is comfortable with tech. That's one. Second broad point is content. I think there are two kinds of content that I talked about. One is core courses, which builds the base. Second is industry ready. Upgrad campus focuses on new age employability related content and courses. And it's not just content. Learning, I think content is only 20%, tech is only 10% of the overall learning. We build in the whole ecosystem towards those new age courses. And just to give example, we have a 200 member content team. And when I say content team, these are instructional designers, these are people who curate courses, storyboard it, because online learning or even blended learning is not just about a faculty delivering. And these 200 does not include industry working professionals. Earlier, we were keeping some of them on our roles to teach. We have realized if an industry working professional is not working in the industry, within 6 or 12 months, he'll be out of touch with what's happening. So we have stopped that practice. Every industry working professional is impaneled with us. We work with them very closely to deliver these courses. And also important point, industry faculty are great in delivering motivational talk or they talking about some projects, but they can't structure and teach a course the way a university professor does. And there also upgrad campus bridges the gap, makes it structured. Right now we have 5 programs in engineering into multiple disciplines, and around 3 programs in management, total of 8 programs that we are working with universities. This list is going to expand to more than 25 in the next 6 months. So this industry is evolving. Upgrad campus is heavily investing. I think this is a long-term investment that we are doing currently to make it happen. And third point is, I think, which is very important when I interact with universities, is how can they ask me this question, how can you help us in branding, how can you help us in placements? I think everything else would fall in place, but these are 2 clear pain points. We have dedicated team towards admission marketing. We have dedicated teams, in fact a 50-member team just focused on one thing: how to train students in soft skills and placements, and how to matchmaking with industry, with corporates. Today's students, today's universities just don't want any job, any checkbox job. They want to actually improve the average package. And that's where Upgrad Campus is working very closely with universities to make that happen. So those are some of the areas where we are working with universities, partnering with them for the entire duration of program. And also the last point, in fact, is I've seen a very clear sense from my panelists talking about affordability, talking about engagement. And that's one of the reasons why we carved out Upgrad Campus as a separate subsidiary from Upgrad. Affordability is key. I can't expect a student to pay 3 lakh rupees for a course. Forget 3 lakh, even 50,000 rupees for a course. It's not possible. And if we are there for long run, we have to subsidize higher education for the longer run. So that's one of the things we are working on, affordability. And last point is, everything that we are doing is blended. We started with online learning, and we've gradually realized that learning currently, at least in India for the next 3 years, has to be blended. There has to be a mix of physical component and an online component. And that's what everything at Upgrad we are doing at every courses. So those are some of the initiatives that we are taking at Upgrad to work with universities to adopt online learning.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahinsaria. In fact, I believe our panelists here would be more than eager to connect with you after this panel discussion to know more about how Upgrad and their universities can, collaborate together. My next question now is for Dr. T. Sasiprabha. And Dr. Sasiprabha, I would like to ask you that universities have been inertial for the physical infrastructure for long, and now how difficult would it be for them to be on a blended or a hybrid space? How should a university prepare to launch an online course?
Yeah. So thank you, ETS, for the wonderful opportunity. And I could able to listen from the speakers and my co-panelists and the company Upgrade. So as Upgrade person is telling, so there's a huge demand for the technological intervention into this education sector. So previously, the physical infrastructure was only the sufficient and important factor in the field of education. Now, the virtual infrastructure is also playing a huge role. So now, last 2 years after this pandemic, all institutions have learned, and they are trying to construct the virtual infrastructure also, with the support of edtech companies, of course. And now the new education policy is also throwing a lot of light on institutions towards increasing the gross enrollment ratio and provide the affordable education for all. So affordable education in the sense, the people who are working, people cannot able to spare their timings in full-time studies, they can able to do the online courses with the support of their online infrastructure in the institutions. And then in the implementation new education policy, is also throwing a lot of insights to the institutions to think of, offering lot of avenues for the institutions to grow internationally. So this is the right time. The institution needs to take good steps forward in attracting good students globally. At the same time, their content should also on par with the international standards. So that's why we at Satyabama Institute of Science and Technologies, we are insisting faculty to upgrade themselves, to empower themselves on par with the international professors, so that our ultimate aim is to make Satyabama as a attractive destination for the global students. So in that aspects we are going. So now right now we have launched 5 online programs with the approval of UGC. So without giving much advertisement, we could able to attract good students across the globe. So just by seeing the UGC website, we have got students from Philippines, Taiwan, Brazil. It's like that we could able to get students from other countries also without any advertisements. So slowly the reputation of the institutions needs to be built up, because now it's a very very after this pandemic, the education sector institution itself is very very competitive. So previously we are our infrastructure is excellent, then we can attract good students to the campus. Now that is not the matter. Now the virtual infrastructure, the faculty content delivery matters. So I hope the support of this editor companies, we can also build a good content, so that we can attract good students from any part of the world. Okay, that's my initial thing. And now the challenges for the institution is that, as you are telling, now the UGC is giving a lot of reforms into the education sector and they are trying to see whether the institutions are implementing the NEP step by step. So UGC is also doing a good handholding, and other statutory bodies are also doing a good handholding on the institutions, how we are implementing NEP step by step. So right from accreditation, they are enforcing. So certain components are now indirectly enforced, that they are seeing that whether institutions are able to follow the NEP. So in that way, the challenges to the institutions are integration of Indian knowledge system. So now for the past few decades, we forget about our Indian culture and knowledge system and our Indian languages also. Now, so we are into implementing or into converting our conventional courses into our regional languages. That itself is a very very challenging task. And at this platform, I am just informing the editor companies that our UGC or our statutory bodies, our universities, affiliating institutions are interested to launch the courses in the regional languages. So, but now due to the scarcity of the faculty who can able to do the translation, we couldn't able to make it fast. So the edutech companies, with the use of technologies, with the use of AI, if they can able to convert the existing content into the regional languages, it will be of great boom, and we can certainly contribute something to the NEP also. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sasi Prabha, for your answer there. And in fact, my next question would be to Professor Sasmita Samanta. Professor Samanta, if you can, give your views about UGC is also planning to introduce a system for industry experts who do not have a PhD or a NET qualification to teach as varsity faculty. Seems to be quite an interesting step. What are your thoughts, and whether this would receive a like do you think that this would receive a widespread acceptance? Professor Samantha? Professor Samantha, if you can take this question. Professor Samantha, if you can take this question. I, in fact, would then put this question across to Mr. In fact, Professor Tabriz Ahmed. If Professor Ahmed could revert to this question?
Yeah, thank you for asking this question to me. And in fact, we have seen that UGC has recommended for hiring the working people without PhD and NET. It has two aspects. One aspect is positive, that because earlier we are not allowed to hire the full-time faculty to those who are working and not having the required NET or maybe PhD. So one way it is giving hand to the universities to hire, and then now we can pick and choose the best people in the industry who are having a lot of experience, who can really add value in the classroom, because full-time faculty may not have that kind of working experience to bring the proper linkages between the industry and academia. So one way it is good for some of the programs. It is very good. For example, for a law program, it is very good. Now we can hire the lawyers who are having a lot of experience. We can hire the judges who have a lot of experience as the full-time faculty. It will add a real value in the classroom, and the classroom quality may go very, very high. Same way, design education, architecture education, hospitality industry, maybe also the computer science courses. If you were try to blend from the working people, it will be great value addition to the classroom. But the UGC has not given that criteria, that who will be hired, what will be the required number of years they have to get experience, what will be the level of experience, because it may be misused by the universities and colleges, because just having the number of experience may not be satisfying, and raising the real competency of the faculty to bring value in the classroom, because having the practical knowledge and trying to bring those knowledge in the classroom, imparting the knowledge and teaching skill, both are different. Because in the net examination, we also test the benchmarking of the knowledge plus attitude of the teaching. Same in the PhD, anybody will be having a lot of experience going in depth of any area, the kind of depth they have academic that they can bring in the classroom. So those person who are not having net, not PhD, just have the working experience in the industry, may not be always best suited for every program, every course. Second thing is that it may further impact the PhD program, impact the net program, because at least right now, every faculty who want to grow as an academician, every PG student, they have to think about passing the net examination. At least they have to have certain benchmark of the knowledge in the area, and also they should have some research in depth of that area to become the faculty. So if kind of, because the government has not given that how many percentage we can hire the working faculty in the university, I think what I suggest, there should not be more than 20% faculty who are not having PhD or net, they have just a working experience in the industry, should be given chance to teach, because otherwise it will be a lot of misuse. It may further reduce the focus on the net, focus on the kind of quality of research, and then it may impact the PhD program. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Ahmed. And if I can have Professor Samantha on. Professor Samantha, can you join us now?
Ma'am is in another meeting. She will be joining shortly, actually. She was earlier.
Okay, perfectly fine. Once she joins, I'll ask her the question then. So, in fact, I would put this question across to Dr. Saili Gankar as well. Dr. Saili, if you can also, share your views on the question which Professor Ahmed was answering.
Yeah. Can you just repeat the question, please?
Yeah, ma'am, my question was that UGC is also planning to introduce a system for industry experts who do not have a PhD or a net qualification to teach as varsity faculty. What are your thoughts, and do you think that this would receive a widespread acceptance?
Okay. I think that's a great move, right? Because if you look at it, I feel the teaching requires one of the component is research, right? Actually, when you look at it, you need to bring your experience on the table in terms of academic, in terms of application, and in terms of research, right? So when I look at industry experts, I think they are more practitioners. They bring that what is happening in the industry and what kind of the mindset skills are required, those are being delivered by these experts. so research, quote unquote, I'm talking about a formal degree, not required, right? The reason is for industry professional. Now, if you look at it internationally, there are many experts, those who have done their PhD through only research papers, right? Because white papers, working papers have given them edge over to talk about what the research is and how that knowledge is to be applied at the workplace. So can we have a blend of it? Of course, we can have a blend of it, right? Because industry experts, again, I'm saying that they work in a typical work environment which required certain competencies which are required to be developed by academicians. So we can have a wonderful blend of this. I think that will definitely help us to improve the delivery, to improve the mindset. Having said this, I am not denying the fact that the PhD degree, if you ask me, of course, it is very important. And if you look at in industry and the abroad, these universities have given a fair amount of chances and change their approaches towards the industry experts so that we can bring those components in our teaching and training. So I think I welcome this particular decision of UGC. The reason is we want the experienced people coming in our campuses, discussing it with our student. I think that will make a huge amount of difference. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kankar. And in fact, my next question now is to Dr. Dipendra Kumar Jha. Dr. Jha, in fact, if you, the proposed UGC reforms are aimed at encouraging greater flexibility for colleges and harnessing the technological tools available with the edtech sector. What do you think are the low-hanging fruits that the college should target immediately?
Thank you. I think a lot of discussions already we have had on online education, and there is nothing called low hanging fruit at this moment. It was forcefully in 2020 when pandemic hit. Uh, we had to go on forced closure. In fact, I was part of an institution earlier where in 2017-16 also we used to have online component in every program, or at least in tech programs. But students were finding it a bit difficult because you cannot just offer this thing to the higher education sector. I mean, I was listening to Amit, who said that at least in 3-4 years it's going to be like blended. It's because the system was never prepared for this. The system which starts from the school education, you cannot just introduce something at the higher education level and then think that it will succeed with the word go. So I think entire now at least entire system is being revamped, and through this introduction of online content, which is here to stay. We all know that it's like a genie in the bottle, which has come out probably because of this pandemic, but it is not going to get back to the bottle. So I think it is there and it is there to stay, but we have to be very cautious. There are certain challenges. For example, the challenges are there are technical issues. Not many people have access. Why are we talking only about the institution? I think the receiver end is more important. Look at the rural areas or many areas, even the urban suburban areas. They don't have access to connectivity. So I think IT has, till you make access to IT as probably a fundamental right, and do the infrastructure augmentation with that in spirit in mind, I don't think it is going to succeed to the level that we are thinking. But yes, it is going to stay. I think things had changed over last 2 years, and it will. I mean, subsequently it will change again. The most important thing that I see here is engagement. Engaging a class in online mode. Engagement of a class is extremely important, extremely challenging task here. We also at Adams University we experimented with first with Coursera. Then at this moment we have adopted LinkedIn Learning. We are also trying. We all know that this is the future. Well, but then how are we going to like it? It will go for some time as augmented learning. It is not going to completely replace the traditional classroom. Though I would say that lot it is not in current situation, current stage that we are in. both from content, from pedagogical innovations, from assessment, all point of view. It is not, I mean, even the edtech companies or say the likes of Coursera, Upgrade, etc., they are also evolving. Amit said that they had no clue earlier, but now also, I mean, they have started working with the university. The university teachers also, I think you will find now. I think there is more or less a kind of, nobody can like ignore it, whether you like it or not. So we are actually forced to upgrade ourselves. We need to learn and update ourselves for new things. So I think the low hanging fruit, if you call it, I'm not sure whether they are low hanging, but we need to be, I mean, that in the mind frame, in the mindset that we need to learn. I mean, we are actually making student learn, but normally as a teacher or the institution, we normally are not ready to learn ourselves. So I think that is one thing that we need to completely, that's the mindset issue, I would say. So three things extremely important. One is being innovative in anything that we do, everything that we do, particularly with embedding this online content and slowly increasing the content. Maybe it's 40% is the guideline, but then we can begin at some point. The second is technology. I think technological innovation, not only the form that we are currently having. I mean, currently we shifted from, in 2020, from physical mode of, teaching learning was just given a kind of the way we are talking today. That means, the mode was changed, but that is not enough. So I think more than synchronous, I think asynchronous learning component, which now the Upgrade and the likes have actually come up with, engaging component. And the third is lifelong learning, not only for the in institution, but not only for the people, also for the institution. I think rightly pointed out that the average generation gap, that the normally effective generation gap that the people say is less than 5 years now. It's somewhere around, because of the invent of IT technology. So I think low hanging fruit, if you call it, is change the mindset that this is going to stay. People are still thinking that, the COVID goes and then we will get back to normal, and there we will not be using these things. I mean, Swam portal was already there, Coursera was already existing. This 2020, this pandemic came, and then suddenly it attracted everyone's attention. And this is going to stay. So as I said, genie out of the bottle, but then it is going to stay here, but probably not in the frame form that it is currently today. It will have like currently it is only as augmented learning, the classroom experience supplemented through uh, the likes of this, because of there are issues with content there as well. So if you see, I mean, the kind of content that we would like to give through benchmarking exercise of the various institutions across the globe, and when you see the kind of what you find in the content that they offer, I think there is a difference. The gap is narrowing, but it's still a long way to go. And then probably the way it is offered, the immersive learning experience, it is coming. I mean, we know about metaverse and other things. It is going to change, and we have to actually get into it whether we like it or not. Thank you. You are on mute.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. Jha. And that brings us towards the end of this discussion. In fact, we've had a wonderful discussion, but I have now a question which is, I, in fact, would put it across to all our panelists because it's a very important question, especially since we have Mr. Amit Mahansaria here. My question, in fact, would be first to Mr. Jyotishman Datta. Mr. Datta, if you can just talk about UGC Chairman M. Jagdish Kumar has said that institutes should could actually source up to 40% of the course content externally, or as we can say through edtech firms like the Upgrad campus for online degrees. What's your take on this move and way forward for your university, and if you have any specific expectations from the edtech firms?
Can you hear me this time?
Yes, sir, but yeah, but your voice is coming after. Yeah.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yeah, you're
Thank
audible.
you.
You're perfectly audible.
Yeah, I know there's some problem. Anyway, keep it brief. It's a good move, because what happens initially we were also, I think many were thinking that universities were already tied up primarily with things like AWS, Coursera. They were offering digital content, but this was over and above the credits
I think we lost his audio again. So we lost your audio again. I, in fact, would take this question across now to Dr. T. Sasi Prabha now. Dr. Sasi Prabha, in fact, if you could, share your views on the way forward for your university, what is your take on this move of, sourcing content from edtech firms, and if you have any expectations from the edtech firms?
Yeah, it's a good question. See, editor firms are coming and interacting with us and giving demos, and if they can able to integrate their content with our faculty content, then it's a good move for the institutions, because it's a totally relying on third parties content. So if they can collaboratively develop a content along with our faculty, so that our faculty will also be recognized, because we are having our own content. It is there, every as from our institution, Satyabama Institute of Technology, every course we have made our content, so that is ready. But still, if it is going to the editor company, it will be more professional. So it is a learning platform for our faculty also to develop their content. At the same time, we can also involve editor companies to make the content better. So this is my opinion. So the collaborative content creation we want, and then the regional languages. See, now AICT is also giving a free hand to the institutions to teach education, the engineering education in their regional languages.
Hello.
Now, since we are not used to with that
Yes.
various terms, terminologies of engineering and other science, it is difficult to the translation. So this is another avenue or the challenge for the editor companies also, to develop the content in the regional languages, which will also satisfy the NEP, one of the objective of NEP also. So this is my thing. And then there are companies, they are coming and approaching, but it is per user license. But we wanted to have a now ultimate aim of NEP, implementing NEP, is we have to make the education affordable. So per student basis, if they charge, then it is very difficult for the institutions to manage the cost. So maybe course wise, or this for 500 students or 500 students, that if they can able to charge based on these packages, it will be more comfortable for the institutions to acquire the content from the data companies. That's my view.
Yeah, in fact, I think I lost the audio in between. But yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Sasi Prabha. And in fact, I would put this question across to Dr. Saili Gankar as well. Dr. Saili Gankar, if you can, share your views on this move and any specific expectations you have from the edtech firms.
Okay, I think yes, of course, content development which has been done by all these the tech companies are really good. Required to be modified, required to be tailor-made for our own students, understanding the syllabus, understanding the industry requirement, and of course, understanding the individual need of the student, right? Because we have so many publication houses, we know it very well, right? We have right from Harvard to TechMax, right? Or maybe Wileys and Pearson and Thomson Learning, Cengage. These all are my popular publication houses. But then when I want to go and teach to my students, I need to modify those. I need to understand the temperament of my student, what they need, what changes they need. And that is required to be done with the help of faculty who is going in class, because they know the profile of the student, they know the gaps which are there with them, and I think that will definitely help us. So contents and then the certification programs rather than contents, I think, because I still remember in 1996 when I started working as academician, right, I realized that the students required a lot of inputs which are not there in typical syllabus. But today, if you look at it, we are in 2022, where UGC, AICTE have taken major step to change the syllabus, the content, the pedagogy, the delivery, right? And we are coming up with the new terminologies, and especially that is academic credit banks, right? And I think these are the areas which is strengthening the delivery of the education. And there I feel we can definitely take help of the best education which will be available to us, which will fit into our own system. So definitely edtech companies, various platforms, they have taken great amount of efforts which will help us to ensure the imparting the quality education to the young minds of this country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saili. And in fact, I would put across the same question to Dr. Dipendra Kumar Jha as well. Sir, if you can share your views on this move and any specific expectations from the edtech firms if you have.
Uh, I touched upon while I was speaking earlier. Uh, I am a great believer of augmenting whatever the classroom learning that we facilitate in the university at the university with these content. Already, as I said, in 2020 we had this Coursera, and now in LinkedIn Learning, so we are actually experimenting. As I said, I don't see the content completely being replaced with the content that they give. Even the students are not very comfortable, let me tell you. I mean, they like this content, but they want some, one facilitator, maybe once a week, to actually clarify the doubts. So it is going to, I mean, as I said, it will be like augmented learning, content, augmented content, not completely replacing them. Maybe a future, I mean, when they also, the content will be better, content will be more immersive, more engaging, probably it will happen. But at this moment, the content that we have, as far, I mean, whatever I have seen in some of these providers, it needs to be modified, as my fellow panelists also pointed out. The requirements, the kind of clientele, the student fraternity, they have, I mean, you have got, I think there need to be some customization, and whether, I mean, they are willing to do that or not, whether this will be cost, this will make sense when it comes to cost, this thing or not, they will be able to tell us, but this is going to be the case at this moment as a blended form. Not only the format I'm talking, but also the content will be blended. Some of the things, being delivered in classroom through our teachers, and that's why teacher have to also come to that level. And the content that we have, which needs to be modified to suit the requirement of an institute. That I will.
Thank you, Dr. Jha. And in fact, that brings us to the end of this panel discussion. In fact, if I can just have a closing, concluding remark from Mr. Amit Mehesaria, since you heard the expectations of the universities on from the edtech firms. If you can just give a concluding remark on this. Okay, I have Professor Susmita Samanta. In fact, yeah. Before Mr. Mehesaria, I can just ask ma'am that as you are you might be aware, Professor Susmita Samanta, as you might be aware that the UGC chairperson M Jagdish Kumar has said that institutes can actually source up to 40% of the course content from edtech firms like Upgrad campus. So what is your take on this move, and if you have any specific expectations from the edtech campuses, edtech firms basically?
Thank you. I am very sorry that I joined in late because few meetings were not scheduled, but it was convened in a hurry. Honorable Lokpal of India was present, in the last meeting, and few of the students' meetings also were there. I'm very sorry for that. Coming to the EdTech campus, I hope that the universities in this country perhaps are the tech trying to be tech campus, or some of the campuses are tech campus since last 2 decades, and always lots of efforts are being put in last 1 decade, that how technology can ease the system of learning, how technology can ease the style of learning, and how technology can be used to make our education system inclusive and accessible to each one of the youngsters of this world. I can't say that now any of the universities in this country or globe are only planning to attract the students from the nation. Perhaps each one of the university today, they are planning to attract the students from the whole globe. And as we are talking about the 40% courses from EdTech industry, whatever you have asked, I think that we all are planning, and of course each one of the university or at least good institutions have already made the plan how to make our education blended. And I hope most of the university campuses now, they're having smart campuses, they're well equipped with hybrid mode of education. And when technology was being used in the universities since last 2 decades, I can say, for in teaching learning processes, in connecting or collaborating with the universities abroad in joint research program, then I can say that actually another one meeting was going on and somebody.
No, perfectly fine, ma'am. It's perfectly
Yeah.
fine. We understand. In
Yeah,
fact,
yeah.
we're also towards the end of the
Yes.
we're also towards the
Yes,
end
yes,
of
yes.
the
Yes,
discussion
so
only.
whatever the honorable chairperson of University Grants Commission has given flexibility to the universities of this country, that 40% courses will be taken from EdTech industries or can be taken from EdTech institution or from any open MOOCs or open platform. Of course, all the universities like KIIT, we have already made our system how students can be connected to the open MOOCs and can bring the knowledge from the open platform from other universities to the campus. We have made our syllabus flexible that students can go learn from other universities, not only in this country, but also abroad, and can transfer their credit to the system. And in that way, the collaboration is going on. And this 40% courses from different, through either through different edtech industries or through the LMS of the university itself, I hope that it will help Indian universities to go for to plan for the internationalization of our activities, because we see that the online courses are coming in a very big way. The reservation, whatever was there with the academicians, with the even with the stakeholders, the public, the industries, and also I can say that in the professional forum, in the professional sectors itself, in almost all the sectors, some reservations were there about the online courses. I think after this COVID pandemic, and after the, I can say that after the innovations of different tech technology that is slowly going, of course the little bit requirement is there how to personify the technology, how the we can bring the interactions, more and more interactions among the peers, how can we can bring more and more discussion sessions among the peers into the system. And if those tools are available, slowly I can say that the online offline education will be taking its own place. Of course, I was saying in some forums, and I personally believe the offline education system will be mostly experience based in all the universities, and they will be trying to collaborate with different institutions, different industries, the societies, communities together. No institution slowly can grow in isolation. Whatever KIT is doing, we have adopted a number of villages, number of panchayats, number of industries, and our student, a broad number of industries inside the university campus to make the experiences of the students better. I hope that will be, maybe that will be the need of the next generation offline campuses. And online courses, always, as I said, that reservations of the people has slowly gone, and the people have accepted online education system very sportively, particularly the industries and also the recruiters have accepted it. This 40% courses from edtech industries will be bringing the new knowledge in the university campus, whatever we are talking about, sharing of the resources, utilization of the resources, maybe that will also give solution to that problem also. That because the people will be having, the students will be having to the resources which is existing in the globe itself.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Professor Samantha. Thank you so much. And that brings us to the end of the panel discussion. And I would ask my backend team to present the token of gratitude certificates for all our speakers now. For Professor Dr. Tabriz Ahmed, thank you so much for your presence today. For Dr. Saili Gankar, thank you so much for your presence, ma'am. It was a pleasure having you
Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you so
For
much.
Professor Sasmita Samanta, thank you so much for your presence, ma'am. For Dr. T. Sasi Prabha, thank you so much for being a part of this panel discussion, ma'am. For Professor Dr. Deependra Kumar Jha, thank you so much, sir, for being a part of
Thank
this
you.
event. For Mr. Amit Mahinsaria, thank you so much,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mahinsaria, for sparing time and being a part of this event and this panel
Thank
discussion.
you.
For Mr. Jyotishman Datta, thank you so much, Mr. Datta, for being a part of this panel discussion. Thank you so much, everyone. It was great having all of you, and in
Thank
fact,
you.
it was a wonderful discussion.
Yeah.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.